Hey guys, Josh from Oracle Audio here, and we're going to talk about limiters and clippers today. When to use which one, what they're doing. So, real quick, we're just going to jump right in. The biggest differences between a clipper and a limiter. Well, a clipper says that at X threshold, we are truncating, we are chopping off, we are getting rid of anything that goes above a certain threshold. So this is pretty aggressive. It adds harmonics and it can get crunchy if you use too much of it. We're using clippers mostly for dynamic material, meaning drums, percussion, things that get pokey. Those are for the clipper. And we're going to demonstrate that here in a second because the limiter is more for things that are musical, that are harmonic content, melodic. And the way that a limiter works is it says, okay, here's the threshold. We're not going to allow the sound to go over it, and we're going to be adjusting volumes and gain based on certain timing, your attack, your release settings. So instead of allowing a sound to exceed a threshold and chopping it off, it's strangling it so that it never goes past a certain threshold. So again, this sounds way better on harmonic content, whereas clippers sound better on pokey, transient, percussive content. Now let's get right into it so that we can just demonstrate exactly what I mean. So we're going to listen to an example of a bass guitar getting clipped by about 6 dB and then getting limited by 6 dB. And you're immediately going to be able to hear the differences here. So let's just demo that right here and now. And we're going to first listen to the example of the bass with nothing on it. So here's the bass loop with no plugins whatsoever. And now with the clipper. Hear that crunchiness right away? Now let's hear what it sounds like with 6 decibels on the limiter. No crunchiness. And it's doing 6, no problem. Let's hear that again. Back to the limiter. So again, so much with this, unless you wanted that distortion for an effect, which a lot of people do, the clear choice is the limiter. Now let's take a listen to some drums, for example. Now this, we have 5 decibels of gain reduction happening on the drum clip, and we'll go back and forth between the two and kind of compare and contrast. So first, here's the drums with no clipper. All right, now let's engage the clipper. You might not be able to hear a difference, but we've brought in about 3.75 decibels of gain reduction while maintaining a very similar sound. That's off and on again. Now let's compare this to the limiter, where it's already activated. A little more polite. I feel like you can hear compression happening. Let's listen to the clipper. That was a weird transition. We're going to flip back and forth a couple times. I want you to listen to the high end and how the snare hits, okay? Here we go. So I think what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that things are going to sound a little bit more open, a little bit more high frequency content, a little less polite with similar settings. Now, a couple things to bear in mind Pro L2 is a limiter that it's pretty smart. So I'm almost positive that it is doing things that other standard limiters are not to prevent clipping and artifacts and things like that from happening. So I don't know all the stats on that, but again, when we listen to those two examples, what I hear is that the clipped version, kind of hard to tell that there's a plugin present. It feels pretty open because again, it's just truncating um, those overs, and it's not causing so much distortion that it's displeasing to the ear. But when we go over to the limited sound, it's not that it sounds bad at all. It's just that I can tell. I can tell something's happening. I can tell that there's something on there, so it's a little less natural. So in the case of when to use a clipper versus when to use a limiter, well, guys, clippers are mostly for the dynamic content. Limiters are mostly, or not mostly, but you would tend to lean towards them with the harmonic content. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to use both, because honestly, when it comes to drums, I'm using clipping and limiters. And so let's give an example right here. Let's listen to this clipped, um, this clipped, the clipped clip, the clipped edition of the drums, and let's see what happens when we add a limiter onto that. Because what essentially happens is you're chopping off a couple of those peaks, or a couple of dBs of those peaks. You can then feed that into the limiter, so you get even more. You could consider it gain reduction, or it helps you to get your track louder, however you want to frame that in your brain. But essentially, what you're doing is you're decreasing the peaks so that you can turn the overall track up. So we'll demonstrate that with the drums here. So let's listen with just nothing, and then we'll do the clipper, and then we'll add a limiter. Okay, let's punch in the clipper. Now I'm literally gonna copy and paste the limiter onto this track so that you can hear exactly how powerful these two can be in combination. Here we go. Okay, so that may not sound like much right now, but that's because this one is getting trimmed by 4. So protect your ears. Okay, now let's group these, turn them off so you can hear the difference. Okay, so here's with nothing. Here's with it all on. Now, just the clipper. Not much there. Just the limiter. Obviously, this is pumped more. And when they're together, so now obviously you can hear there's some distortion, there's some artifacts, there's some stuff going on there that I would clean up if this were my track, but this just serves to demonstrate the difference between the two and how they can work together in tandem. So to sort of wrap things up, here's what I will say. If you're not sure what to use, a clipper versus a limiter, if it's drums, percussion, or pokey with the transients, clipper first. If it's not like that and we're just trying to control the level, then we're going to use the limiter. And in both cases, it's best to use as little as possible. And I generally am only applying this level of processing in the mix process on the drums, and then like at the end of channels a little bit. So like while I'm working, I'm keeping in mind, okay, at the mix and master process, depending on how you work and what type of artist you are, they're gonna need room. So like you don't want to over clip anything at the instrument level or at the bus level or on the mix level. You don't really want to do any of that stuff. You want to leave room for clipping later. So less is more. Don't overdo any of it to achieve loudness. People can just turn the volume up. Don't go chasing an extra, LUFS and loudness and ruin a song just because you're trying to like sound louder or as competitive as something else, people will turn it off if it's fatiguing. So to wrap things up, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you guys have any questions, leave it down in the comments. And if you need help with your mix or need a master done, you can reach out to me. I'm Josh at Oracle Audio. My email is attached to the channel. We'll see you guys soon.